Pleasant day, Ma'am Elanita Corteza. I am Carmia Muhammad from BSN English. I'm going to make a presentation in topic 2, such as new historicism and cultural materialism, ethnic studies and post-colonial criticism, gender studies, feminism, and queer theory. Let's first discuss new historicism and cultural materialism. First is New Historicism and Cultural Materialism are two literary theories that have similar characteristics. The key difference between New Historicism and Cultural Materialism is that New Historicism focuses on the oppression in the society that has to be overcome in order to achieve change, whereas Cultural Materialism focuses on how the change is brought about. What is New Historicism? A new historicism is a literary theory that involves the parallel reading of non-literary and literary texts of the same time. These non-literary texts are often used to frame the literary works, both that are treated equally. It does not give priority or privilege to a literary text. This theory is based on the concept that literature should be evaluated and interpreted within the context of the history of the author as well as the critic. This is because the critic's response to a work is always influenced by his beliefs, prejudice, culture, and environment. A new historicism acknowledges and is based on the concept that our understanding of literature changes with a change in time. At the same time, new historicism is considered to be anti-establishment and favors liberal ideas and personal freedoms. The third new historicism was coined by Stephen Greenblatt around 1980s. So Lover and Jonathan Dolly Moore are two practitioners of this theory. Next is what is cultural materialism? The origin of cultural materialism can be traced back to work of the left-wing literary critic Raymond Williams, who coined the term cultural materialism. It can be described as a blending of leftist culturalism and Marxist analysis. This theory came into being in the early 1980s along with New Historicism. Cultural materialism deals with specific historical documents and attempts to analyze and recreate the dominant set of ideals or beliefs of a particular moment in history. Jonathan Dolly Moore and Alan Sinfield identifies four characteristics of cultural materialism. First is historical context. What was happening at the same time when this work was created? Number two, theoretical method, incorporation of older theories and models such as structuralism and post-structuralism. Three, close textual analysis, building on theoretical analysis of canonical texts that are identified as prominent cultural icons. Lastly, political commitment, incorporating political theories such as feminist and Marxist theory. What is the difference between new criticism and cultural materialism? New criticism focuses on the oppressive aspects of society of how people has to overcome to achieve change, while the cultural materialism is focuses on how the change is formed. Next topic, let's discuss ethnic studies and post-colonial criticism. Ethnic studies, sometimes referred to as minority studies, has an obvious historical relationships with the post-colonial criticism. In that Euro-American imperialism and colonialization in the last 4 centuries, whether external empire or internal slavery, has been directed as recognizable ethnic groups. African and African American, Chinese, the subaltern peoples of India, Irish, Latino, Native American, and Filipino, among others. Ethnic studies concerns itself generally with art and literature produced by identifiable ethnic groups, either marginalized or in a subordinate position to a dominant culture. While the post-colonial criticism investigates the relationships between colonizers and colonized in the period post-colonialization, through the two fields are increasingly finding points of intersection. The work of Bells Hooks, for example, and are both activists, intellectual enterprises, ethnic studies, and post-colonial criticism have significant differences in their history and ideas. The post-colonial criticism offers fundamental critiques of the ideology of colonial domination and at the same time seeks to undo the imaginative geography or Orientalists thought that produced conceptual as well as economic divides between West and East. civilized and uncivilized, first and third worlds. In this respect, post-colonial criticism is activist and adversarial in its basic aims. Post-colonial theory has brought fresh perspectives to the role of colonial peoples, their wealth, labor, and culture in the development of modern European nation-states. While post-colonial criticism emerged in the historical moment following the collapse of the modern colonial empires. The increasing globalization of culture, including the neo-colonialism of multinational capitalism, suggests a continued relevance for this field of inquiry. Our next topic is gender studies, feminism, and queer theory. Gender theory came to the forefront of the theoretical scene first as feminist theory, but has subsequently come to include the investigation of all gender and sexual categories and identities. Feminist gender theory followed slightly behind the reemergence of political feminism in the United States and Western Europe during the 1960s. Political feminism of the so-called second wave has its emphasis practical concerns with the rights of women in contemporary societies, women's identity, and the representation of women in media and culture and queer theory. These cause and converge with early literary feminist practice characterized by Elaine Showalter as gynocriticism, which emphasized the study and canonical inclusion of works by female authors as well as the depiction of women in male-authored canonical texts. Feminist gender theory is postmodern in that it challenged the paradigms and intellectual premises of Western thought, but also takes an activist stance by proposing frequent interventions and alternative epistemological positions meant to change the social order. In the context of postmodernism, gender theories led by the work of Judith Butler, initially viewed by the category of gender as a human construct enacted by a vast repetition of social performance. The biological distinction between man and woman eventually came under the same scrutiny by theorists who reached a similar conclusion. The sexual categories and products of culture, and as such as help create social reality rather than simply reflect it. Gender theory achieved a wide readership and acquired much its initial theoretical rigor through the work of a group of French feminist theorists that included Simone de Beauvoir, Luce Irigaray, Helen Cushius, and Julia Kristeva, who while Bulgarian rather than French made her mark writing in French. The French feminist thought is based on the assumption that the Western philosophical tradition represents the experience of women in the structure of its ideas, as an important consequences of this systematic intellectual repression and exclusion. Women's lives and bodies in historical societies are subject to repression as well. In the creative or critical work of uh, Statius, we find the history of Western thought depicted as binary oppositions. Next is queer theory. What is queer theory? It is an interdisciplinary field that encourages one to look at the world through the new avenues. It is a way of thinking that dismantles traditional assumptions about gender and sexual identities, challenges traditional academic approaches, and fights against social inequality. That's all for topic 2. I hope you gained some insights in my video. Thank you for watching.